welcome back, everyone, to Pod of Thrones. I'm Jeff.
I'm Jennifer. Jennifer.
You looked like you were wincing when I said Pod of Thrones. Am I too loud?
No.
All right. Joining us today is the wonderful, the sexy Loremaster Kevin.
Kevin!
Oh, thank you.
The sexy. Where did...
I don't know.
You guys been trading pictures?
I just missed you so bad, Kevin.
I've seen like one picture of me wearing the Keep on Hodoring shirt.
Right, that was pretty sexy.
Maybe the shirt made me sexy.
We should put that picture up.
Okay. I think I have it still in my text
Can we put
messages.
a picture up of you?
Sure.
Okay.
Yay!
We'll load it up to the internet.
Yep. And then it's there forever. So, gosh, it's been a while. I know, Kevin, you've had some real life stuff going on. You were moving and yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. But let's get to the important stuff. We have not talked about Game of Thrones since the finale. So I know that our listening public has been wanting to know.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah. How do you feel? How did you feel immediately? And now that I think it's been a month and a half since the finale. How do you feel now?
How do I feel? I miss Game of Thrones.
Well, we miss it too. But what did you think of the finale? Those last couple episodes, even. Did you think they did a good job?
There were some things that I kind of liked, and some things that just don't feel right. You know?
Sure. Well, what were the things you liked? Let's start positive. What did you like about the way it ended?
I kind of like the fact that Jon ended up killing Dany. That seemed appropriate. If someone was going to stop her, it was surprising. I kind of like Jon's ending. He went out, and lived among the wildlings. It looks like something. I mean, he was never going to be king because he didn't want it. I like the ending for who else I liked the ending for? Pod was a good ending. Brienne was a good ending. I really liked hers, which she's writing the book, right?
Yep, Jaime's story.
Yeah, that was Jaime's story is pretty cool. I mean, I'm not one of those who really ever really cared about who ended up on the throne. I thought it would be, worthless anyways, and really no one did end up on the throne, right?
Right, throne's all gone. What did you think of Drogon having that level of insight? Pretty interesting, huh?
Yeah, I guess maybe Dany worked into him as she died. Who knows?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think they had that. They understood each other, right? There was something. I think they said something in the show once too about the dragon rider bond. So he must have known that was the thing that mattered most, and that ultimately it got her killed, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Now, if she warged into Drogon, that
was just some type of connection. Like the connection was severed, and he knew it wasn't like an actual a wargame, but some type of connection.
Right. Her own spirit or whatever.
Yeah.
But that would mean that she finally has realized that the throne is the cause of all evil.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what
she
you're
can't
saying.
blame Jon when she gets to step back and see it. She can't really blame Jon for what
he did
because she had turned into a terror.
I don't think that's what happened.
What?
I think that Drogon was just, he was like, this fucking thing, I swear to God, I'm going to burn it down.
So he's a little smarter than he got credit for.
I like that.
And then he took her body away.
But if he was smarter, wouldn't he have done things better?
Drogon?
Yes, he got his Viserion brother killed, which he kind of had to die anyway because he was the bad brother. But there were just so many things. I was like, well, just do it different. You're flying right into battle where this guy can totally javelin stick you. They're got to be smarter than that if he was able to understand at the end of the Game of Thrones that it was the cause of everything. Except for the White Walkers.
I like Arya's ending. That was kind of cool. Sansa being queen in the North was kind of cool. I mean, it's just Bran being the king kind of threw me off because there's nothing in the books that even leads that way. But again, I don't think the creators of Game of Thrones are going to go far outside of what George R.R. Martin wanted. I really think that it's either one or two things. Either it's going to be Bran, or he said to him, "This is who I have ending up. You guys can do the show as long as that's not who takes the throne."
Oh, so like, so let's say, okay, so if Gurm wanted, let's say Sansa on the throne at the end, you think he went to them and said, "You can do whatever you want with the ending, except it can't be Sansa on the throne."
Yeah, something like that.
I was thinking the same thing. He probably will have somebody completely different, or the story is different.
And he could still change it now that he's seen how the public reacted to quote unquote Bran the Broken.
Sometimes I wonder if they made it not so great because of that.
On purpose?
On purpose.
That's quite a
Or maybe they made it how he wanted it, and they would have done it differently, but like they were stuck in the corner. I mean, this is one of the reasons why it's taking so long to write the ending of the book, is he's stuck. He has to get to a place he wants to be, and he doesn't know how to do it gracefully.
Yeah, he does. He's got to be stuck, right? I mean, he hasn't said that, but.
Well, and how can you write a book while you're watching your show every Sunday? How you can't really write while being influenced by that. I wish he had not watched it almost.
Well, it doesn't seem like he has been writing. He's been working on some other comic books, a different TV show.
Well, I know. That's probably why, though.
At E3, there's this trailer that came out for a video game that he's writing with this Japanese legend of game design. So he's doing all these other things, and he's still like, oh yeah, winter's
still coming.
Yeah, winter's still coming. I promise. What's it called? The
Winds of Winter.
Winds of Winter. That's it. I knew it was winter something. Yeah, it feels like he's just messing with us. I liked the theory that the book was going to drop the second the show was over, but now it's a month and a half later, and that
would have been fun and popular.
Yeah. Yes.
That's the other thing about it is like I personally was really good at taking the show as something different. It's a different storytelling medium. The book is has a lot of clouded perspectives. You hear Stannis' perspective through the eyes of Davos, where, no matter what Stannis does, he sees them in awe. You see, King's Landing through the eyes of Cersei, and, no matter what is going on, it's bad to her, You see Winterfell through the eyes of Bran, who is small, and, everything's bigger than life. It's just, I feel like the book is full of unreliable narrators. So I've had a good job of, when I watch the show, not comparing it to the books in my mind. Like, oh, well, the book would handle this differently. Oh, this person. Like, for example, one of the biggest things that people had a big problem with the entire show was, well, in the books, Ramsay's not a good fighter. I mean, his father says he's not a good fighter. Again, you're seeing Ramsay through the eyes of his father, who is seeing a bastard son, so he's never going to give him the praise that he deserves. So when Ramsay's a good fighter in the show, it didn't bug me that in the book, that's not how it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, also, I mean, it's not, he didn't do that much one-on-one combat, really.
I understand, but like his father, says bad things about him in the book.
Right. Well, and his father's kind of a dick.
So when Ramsay can take on the Iron Island people when they're coming to rescue Theon, to me, the show has always done. Ramsay was a better fighter than what he was in the book. So, I mean, as long as it fit with the show, I'm fine with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can understand all that. So,
if it was consistent with the show, I was good. I was fine. The show was entertaining. And, the last two episodes, the beginning of the last episode was purely Game of Thrones. The end of the last episode, the episode before the last one, I mean, I thought that was the most Game of Thrones it's been in forever. What you saw at the beginning of it.
With the, at the battle?
Yeah.
Like how it started.
With what, and how it turned, and, what you were seeing and stuff. I felt like that was... Yeah. And then the beginning of the last episode, too, everything that was going around and stuff like that. And even Jon killing Dany, that is pure Game of Thrones. That's what, people got in for.
I felt like it was anticlimactic. I don't know why. I just didn't feel like when at that moment, there were more parts in that episode that made me gasp than that. It was kind of strange.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what type of ending. We didn't want Game of Thrones to end, and a lot of people didn't want Game of Thrones to end. So
well, of course
I'm not really sure what type of ending and would have been. Oh my god, you know. And I have seen lots of people like, oh, this is how it should end, and I read their stuff, and I'm like, that's terrible too. This is why, you know. I didn't really think it was terrible, and I'm not saying it was terrible. I'm just saying, like, you didn't make it any better, is what I'm saying. Like, your ending that you say should happen is not making this any better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the internet, of course, is full of that, which I've been tempted at times to contribute to. But, I mean, I don't know if mine's any better. We should do an exercise on that. We should all write our own little Game of Thrones endings, a couple paragraphs.
Well, we already did. We already told what we thought was going to happen.
You know, like, really lay it out.
All right.
Look it in.
Sounds fun.
Let's leave that for a future project. I'm just excited
and the thing about it is I'm certain, 100% certain that in George R. R. Martin's, you know, whatever he writes, Dany is going to sack King's Landing the same way she did. I have a feeling that the threat of the night, you know, the threat of the White Walkers and it's going to be over before that ever happens. I'm sure she's going to go north and she's going to take care of it with Jon, and it's going to make, you know, Jon killing her the same. I mean, that's all going to happen that way. And Bran may even end up on the throne, but it's going to be different, and it's going to be. You're going to see it through the eyes of the people, so it's going to make more sense to you.
Well, he'll certainly have a better chance to explain everything going on. I mean,
right.
Dany's mindset was key in her decision to just go full fucking apocalypse on King's Landing, but we didn't get any of it.
Right.
I think they tried to give you their mindset, you know, with her and him, with her and Jon doing it like right after she killed Varys. You try to get they tried to get a little bit. It's hard to do it without the inner monologue. And I think sometimes some people miss stuff. Like I was watching some of the things like, well, how do they get in here? Well, if you watch a second before, you know, they explained it. And it's a hard line to cross between heavy-handed and, you know, subtlety, where people get it and then they don't think it's too heavy-handed.
Well,
I understand. Yeah.
Would you disagree that the season was at least a little bit rushed?
I think the ending was always going to be rushed. I mean, what else was it to tell? I mean, you have all Game of Thrones was excellent for, you know, the build up and the monologues, but it has to end at some point, right?
No, it does not have to end at some point, Mr. Kevin. I mean, when you put Bran on the throne, if you then try to have future seasons of vileness and intrigue and people clawing at each other for some scraps of power, well, Bran kind of puts a halt to all of that. So,
right, he knows.
Yeah. But if anybody but Bran was king, then you could still continue having a wonderful soap opera.
And I think you're going to have that in the books. I really think you're going to have that in the book, because in the books they have what they call Fagon, which is the fake Aegon.
What?
Coming, and I'm sure
Fagon sounds a little funny to me. I don't know why. But
yeah, it's fake Aegon. They call him Fagon because of it. And I really have a feeling that he's going to do what Dany did and take over King's Landing, and then you're going to have the fight between them two. I really think that's what's going to end up happening. And they didn't have that in the show, so you know they had what they had. All right. And taking the vacuum away from the books, I really enjoyed the show, and I enjoyed it up to the end. And I didn't like, oh my god, this is terrible. Like some people are like, this is the terrible show. You still had your good moments. You still had the stuff you enjoyed. Don't take an ending you didn't want and make it the worst show ever. I've done that before. I have a show that I used to love. No, Lost. I was okay with the ending in Lost.
Oh god,
I think people didn't get it.
We don't have time.
I don't think people
that.
got the ending in Lost. Is the problem, you know.
Well, what was that show that you?
Well, it wasn't the show like that. It was like How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, I didn't have
well, yeah, I love that show, but the ending was
upsetting.
I love that show. I would watch it like background noise. Mm-hmm. That's all. I mean, like I would watch every single episode over and over and over and over. And then they killed the mother in the last episode, and I'm like, okay, that's it. Never again. I haven't watched that episode since. And that was my staple. That was my show that I watched when I felt bad, when I just needed some time to kill. You know, hey, let's put on, you know, Slap Bed. I love that. It always makes me smile. and I've never watched another episode since.
I would watch it
So I
again.
will go back. I will go back and watch Game of Thrones, and I will go back and do rewatches, and I'll still talk about it and stuff like that. And I'll watch last season, and I mean, I'll enjoy it for what it is, and then I'll wait for the books. But again, I've always separated the show away from the book. So I think some people who really, really hate it are taking the books and are like, oh, well, this is how it's like, well, it's the show. It's always been different.
I've got a couple people at work who started Game of Thrones within the last 2 months. And it's fun watching them go through it. The Red Wedding and Sansa's wedding night and all those horrible things that happened over the years. That it's fun watching their emotional roller coaster, and I am legitimately looking forward to seeing how they handle the last couple seasons too, where where everything's a little bit different because it wasn't backed with the book lore and they were kind of winging it. I'm looking forward to seeing their reaction still, even though the ending left me flat. I can't deny it, but I'm still happy to watch Game of Thrones again in the future, and I'm really looking forward to the prequels.
I can't think of an ending that would have made everyone happy.
No, there's no such thing, but I do feel like this one left more people unhappy than it probably should have. What were you saying, Ben?
But I think people are unhappy for the wrong reasons too sometimes.
Yeah, maybe. But
we should watch it again soon. We haven't actually rewatched it yet.
The whole series?
No, just the last episode.
Oh, the last episode. Oh, okay.
Because we had a lot of people here, and
that's true.
Our living room was bright, and it was hard to see some of the. It was such a dark episode that we had problems seeing it.
Yeah, we did have two people.
So, what did you think about John killing Danny then?
Well, I would have liked it if they. I don't know. Maybe it was a little more theatrical.
They've done the hug into a stab before, right?
Right. Well, and his arm had nowhere to go.
It's a little weird. Yeah, it was a little awkward placement on the sword and everything. But I'm okay with John killing Danny because they made a situation where someone had to do it. So if anyone was going to do it, it makes sense. It was John. I would have been happy if it was Arya. Really happy, actually. That would have if she.
I think it ended up happening. I think John would have had a problem if it was Arya.
Well, maybe, but
true.
That was the one. Actually, it's funny. We were watching that documentary, The Last Watch, and I had to take note that they showed the little snippets from the whole day's worth of their table read for the series or for the season. And that one point where Arya comes out of the shadows and stabs the Night King and is the big hero. Everybody in the room cheered. And they got to the end of the table read and everyone applauded and stuff. But that was the energetic peak of the season. And it was, at the halfway point. That was so much time to come down after that, where they didn't really give us any more amazing moments, except maybe Danny, destroying the Golden Company in a half a second. That was pretty cool. But Arya really, she just hit a home run. And then there were three more episodes.
I think that was the climax, was that, and everything else was anticlimactic. You're right. I think you're right, Jennifer. That was what he felt.
Yeah, I agree with myself.
Well, so yeah.
You're right. We really didn't have after that, you really didn't have that moment that stood out other than, John killing Danny. That stands out for, just the significance of it. You don't have the get up and cheer moment like you normally did
and
throughout the series.
I would think I was expecting also the Dark Knight. Is that what he's called? I don't even remember anymore.
Jeez.
No, the Night King.
Wait.
The Night King. I was expecting
you said Dark Knight. I was thinking, with his black mushroom hat on, but go on.
I was thinking that he would make it all the way to Westeros. And I was hoping that Cersei and the Night King would have some kind of confrontation.
It would have been so cool.
Whether she died or not at that moment, that would have been better.
Yeah.
It is disappointing.
I think you're right. I think some type of other climax. I mean, you had that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's what it is, Jennifer. It became more of the last couple episodes all became you're coming down from the climax.
Right.
Which I think is a problem for a lot of people. And I think, Martin's going to have the same issue because they have too many threads going that at some point you got to finish one of the most exciting ones and get going. You can't finish the whole thing with what Cersei's doing and then face the incoming threat because you just can't. I don't know why. You have to finish the threat of the White Walkers first. Because why would you care about Cersei at that point at all?
Well, Cersei would have died somehow during that battle was my guess.
I guess the question comes down to, like, it's called Game of Thrones, but as we've always said, the first scene in the entire series involves the White Walkers and this huge threat that they become. And we see it building and building and building and building. And they were saying in the documentary, it was like 20,000 good guys versus about 120,000 whites, these zombies, right? So, like, it builds up to this tremendous thing. And as a writer, I guess you have to make the choice of, like, is it the Iron Throne that's going to be the last thing who gets to be king? Or is it going to be this epic battle of life versus death?
Right.
And you could, I think you could have intertwined those where the Iron Throne itself, again, is like up for grabs, gets destroyed. Maybe the Night King's going to try to sit on it himself because then he could just, fuck you to everybody. He's like, hey, I'm sitting here, bitches. I'm the king now. You could have woven it together in some way. I just wish he would have gotten down, like Jennifer said, like gotten down to King's Landing and just a little bit more Night King. I just wanted a little more. Just a smidge.
But then when Dany comes and destroys it, now she's destroying whites and she's destroying people who are already dead. So now she hasn't gone mad. There's no reason for Jon to kill her. I'm just. You have to get rid of one of them first.
Look, maybe, and we'll see what George does. He went on record saying, some of the stuff is the same and some of it's not. And it's probably about 50-50 in terms of the major plot points if I take him at his word. And at that point, who knows what could happen? Maybe the Night King will make it down to King's Landing, but Bran will still be king. Or maybe the Battle of Winterfell will be a victory, but Sansa will be on the throne at the end. Who knows? We really don't have any way to guess
and
that.
I'm excited you're right. I'm excited to see what happens in the book. But taking the show as it was, I mean, you had your moments, and then you had a lot of it afterwards. Just you didn't get your next moment you wanted. And I think that's more of a longing for, a show that's ending, which it was for me. I was upset it's ending.
Yeah, but they are still filming more content. So to that, I think, unless you have more thoughts, Kevin, I think we'll move on to the news. Do you have anything else you wanted to say about this season?
No?
Pretty happy?
No.
All right. Well, then, let's talk about... I got some show notes. Well, okay, it starts with stuff from the coming season. These are just a couple things I've seen recently. There was an interview with Lena Headey, Cersei herself. A couple interviews. She did talk about how there was a deleted scene that was supposed to be in season 7, but could have been in season 8 just as easily, where she has a miscarriage.
Oh, that answers a whole lot.
It would have changed everything. First of all, we would have known for sure that she was pregnant and wasn't lying to Jaime, but then also what else changes from that?
I love that.
Yeah.
Huh.
But it also would lead to the question was it a miscarriage or did she abort the baby?
Well, I think you would have seen
done the
her.
path.
I think you would have seen her having a miscarriage. I think that was the idea. Like,
You would have seen the end result, but you wouldn't know what caused it.
Her drinking.
true. Well, yeah.
Well, I mean,
it's a fair
let's
point.
say she sees Jamie leave and decides to punish him by,
Sticking
drinking
a
the
coat
moon tea
hanger
or
up the-
whatever it was. Yeah.
Not bait. I don't think anyone
They didn't
heard
have
that,
coat
but
hanger.
I don't want to tell you what just happened there. I've seen things. Anyway, and then she also talked about how she was disappointed with her own end. She thought they could have done a little bit better with her death. And she said, I just think they couldn't have pleased everyone. We said that. No matter what they did, I think there was going to be some big come down from the climb. And I think she's talking about the show in general. But then for herself, she said, you could go in any way on that show. So I was kind of gutted. I guess there was a process of convincing her that it was the way to go because she was with Jaime and they died together. And, she bought into that to a degree. But ultimately, I think it seems like she wanted a more violent death, like Arya slitting her throat and stuff.
Or maybe Tyrion shooting her with the
crossbow.
The crossbow, yeah.
I always wanted Jaime to kill her.
I did
Jaime.
too.
And I thought when he left Brienne, he was going to kill her. Like that's what he was going to do. He was going to go try to talk sense to her, and when he couldn't talk sense to her, he was going to kill her.
Yep.
It's like they tried to do everything except what everybody was expecting.
Well, yeah, they really.
And that maybe was happening in the books too. Like it leads up to it, but Well,
what's the point of having all these prophecies? Okay, you can have a bunch of prophecies, and then they turn out to not be true. Okay. But in this world where you have active, angry deities and obvious sources of magic, it just is a real bummer that the prophecies could 90% true for Cersei. And then at the very end, the part that kills her, nothing. Absolutely nothing related to that.
Yeah, but I don't remember the prophecy they told. I don't remember that part happening in the show. And that's another thing I'm talking about. It was in the prophecy in the book, but I don't remember that happening in the show. What they're saying.
Did.
I have to watch that episode again.
It definitely.
I have to watch that episode again.
I mean, the prophecy happened. I don't know if Valonqar was mentioned. I don't think
I
it
remember
was.
the prophecy happening, but I don't remember the getting all the way to the end like it is in the book. So when they talk about the Valonqar killing her.
No, I agree. But when you have this kind of fan base,
you could throw him a bone.
Yeah, I mean, we expect what's coming. We expect certain things for a reason. And you already did the 3 kids dying and the shrouds of gold and all that. You already did all that. So why not see it through? So again, maybe this is where we can count on, George R. R. Martin to set things right. Here's hoping. I don't know. Here's hoping. Let's see. The second headline I had was, I guess the only other thing I really took note of, there's been a bunch of other stuff, like Miguel Sapochnik, the director of a couple of these episodes, and many more in the earlier, he's been just interview after interview of here's what I would have done differently. And I had this idea and they shot it down. And there was one that I was looking at today where, at the long night battle of Winterfell, he was like, I wanted to have an army of direwolves attacking and fighting the zombie dragon, which I think would have had to be partially Nymeria and her little pack. It would have been awesome, but that's just stuff that he would have liked. So there's a lot of that
that would have been
stuff.
kind of cool, but it would kind of not really explain, you didn't see them at all until then. But that might also explain where Bran went, when he, decided he was going to warg in the middle of the fight. He may have gone into the direwolves.
You're right. That would have actually made things make a whole lot of sense because he did nothing with his warging time. A whole battle, thousands and thousands tens of thousands of people dying. And he's just sitting there, whatever, who said that, checking his emails the whole time. I think that was Amanda, our friend. Okay. The other headline from Entertainment Weekly, the prequel has started filming in Northern Ireland. They're speculating we will see the prequel in either late 2020 or early 2021. That's a long time from now, but it will come. But in this article, there was a quote from George R. R. Martin about what we're going to see. So we know it's a prequel. They're saying it's probably going to be called The Long Night, but that's not really for sure. So we don't know a lot for sure, but this is what he says. He says, Westeros is a different place. There's no King's Landing. There's no Iron Throne. There are no Targaryens. Valyria has hardly begun to rise yet with its dragons and the great empire that it built. We're dealing with a different and older world, and hopefully that will be part of the fun of the series. Thoughts? No dragons?
That's have to be a long time in the future. I mean, long time in the past.
Yeah, well, if we think that it's going to be the Children of the Forest and the First Men, what was Valyria like at that point, Mr. Loremaster?
Well, like he was saying, it really wasn't much. There wasn't much going on at the time. If we were talking, I'm trying to place the timeline. So, what did you say? Read that again to me. There was no.
I got to pick up my phone again. There's no King's Landing. There's no Iron Throne. Okay. There are no Targaryens.
So before the Targaryens, even?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So if Valyria is not a real empire yet, then that means there's no Valyrian steel either, which means that if you're going to beat the White Walkers, you've only got Dragonglass to rely upon.
Well, there's a lot of it
Well, there is on
in Dragonstone.
certain places. Yeah, I guess it. So Dragonstone must have been a volcano once upon a time, I'm guessing.
Looks like it.
I guess there was no wall, so people could travel freely from the north to the south, and that's all good. Makes sense.
So I guess we're gonna be in the Age of the Heroes, is where we're gonna be, because that'll be like, I bet the end of it will probably be the Battle for Dawn. That would probably be the end of the Long Night.
Dawn.
That was the fight. That was the battle. Well, the Battle for Dawn was the battle against the others. That's when they built the wall.
Okay, I thought Dawn
And that's
as
when
in
you
the
s-
sword.
No, DAWN, Dawn, just regular. The battle for the Dawn.
Battle for the Dawn. All right.
That marks the end of the Long Night, and that all happened during the Age of the Heroes.
And was that not the original Azor Ahai too?
Yeah, you would see Azor Ahai, and you would see the Last Hero,
Which is a different person.
Yeah.
Probably a
Well,
Stark.
I always thought they were different people. No, they're the same. I'm sure the same people now. I always figured they were different people, but now it seems like they're the same. If you go by what happened in the show.
Okay. All right. Well, who could Azor Ahai be? Could Azor Ahai be a Stark? I guess would be my big question.
I don't. Which Stark do you think you'd be?
Fuck if I know, man. I mean, they're all called Brandon, so I'll just say Brandon.
Right.
Let's feel like I'm hedging my bets there.
Maybe he's just Azor Ahai. That's his name.
Well, yeah, that's the other option, right? Which is not anything Westerosi, so he comes from a land far away, I imagine.
Yeah.
Which might be nice. Let's do something different. We could use some people of color in the show. It's been a very stark white atmosphere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
It really has been.
Yeah.
I mean, the Sands.
Yeah, the Sands and, of course, the Dothraki, but all of our biggest heroes.
Very Caucasian.
Yeah, let's do something different. Give us a Azor Ahai that comes from somewhere else. Essos. The far reaches of Essos. Well, those were my big headlines. Anyone else have any?
Well, no, not really. I read today, though, that people are talking about Jack and Hagar and Sirio being the same person. That's always been again, but now it's come up afresh on my timeline.
It was something he said while trading Arya, something like that.
And I didn't get to where he said it because I got bored halfway through the article.
Well, it could have been the one we say to the god of death, not today. That could have been it.
Yeah.
That's where she learned that phrase.
But that doesn't help her kill him.
The
Night King.
The secret is to say not today. Those are the words he hates.
They think that something he said was taught her how to kill the Night King. Run through the wind very quickly.
You know what? We should go watch that episode again. We'll do a commentary track. We'll see what we think.
All right.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
The back of our heads. In the
do it.
We can do
MST3K
YouTube,
style?
right?
Well, if we can get video going,
It'll be Sophie's head, the cat's head, and our heads. It'll be so cute.
That would be awesome. We'll talk to our video friend. All right. Well, then I've got some mailbag from a couple people. Lionheart, our old buddy. He's had a few things that were kind of on the burner for a while, but the first one I chickened out many weeks ago. Because, well, I guess it was right around the time of episode 3, the Battle of Winterfell, which was called The Long Night, but whatever. Because right around then, he wrote in with a subject line of End Game of Thrones. And I feel bad about this because I think he deserves a lot of credit. Since the time he posted this on Reddit and then sent me a private message about it, a few other people have written articles online about the exact same thing, which was Winterfell and Endgame were almost the exact same battle. But I didn't want to do it because spoilers. I didn't want to, not everybody saw Avengers Endgame right away. Have you seen it, Kevin?
Well, then they can't listen.
Yeah.
Well, that's... Okay.
Well, it's been long enough with Endgame and the Game of Thrones they can...
Right. Well, Endgame's about to get re-released. I'm probably going to see it while you're gone. Sorry, babe. They're going to put it back in the theaters with a couple extra scenes.
Okay.
I thought they were only adding after credit or mid credit scenes and stuff like that.
That would suck.
Possibly. Yeah. They said there's definitely something at the end, but I think they're saving a few surprises, not telling us everything.
They're just doing that to pass Avatar, aren't they?
It seems that way. They're not saying that, but since they're only like $44 million off of Avatar's all-time record, it seems like that's probably what they're trying to do. But yeah, the Game of Thrones endgame correlations. Let's see what you guys think. These are Lionheart's bullet points. 1. Both have team-ups from all over the place joining forces to fight the threat that literally wants to wipe out all life. At that point, Thanos decided that eliminating half of all life in the universe isn't enough because people remember. So yeah, there you go. Thanos used to be okay, like he only wanted to kill half of everybody, but then he decided to kill all of everybody. Night King wanted to kill all of everybody. Both have villains who want to erase all memory of the world too. That's true. What? You're shaking your head. All right. Well, we're not done yet. Both have the good guys severely outnumbered and outmatched by the enemy forces. Well, fine, but that happens all the time. Both have a character who can look into the future but won't talk about it. Bran has few words, and Doctor Strange literally says he won't talk about what will happen, or else it won't happen. Said future-seeing character gives another character encouragement to fight on a critical moment. Bran gives Theon words of encouragement. Doctor Strange confirms to Iron Man that events will lead to the one potential timeline that they have to win. Both have long shots of characters running through the battlefield. Well, that happens all the time. And then both have a Stark as the MVP who delivered the final blow, wiping out the entire enemy army in one shot.
I think all movies are based on the same formula, so...
Well, that's true.
Well, I can tell you one thing that Avengers could do that for some reason Game of Thrones could not do, and that was actually kill a Stark.
Hey, look, many Starks have died.
But not in the Battle of Winterfell.
That is true. It would have made sense. I would have been mad and sad, but it would have made sense if Arya died in the process of killing the Night King. I mean, it would have been fair, right?
Sure.
Like, she gets him in the heart while he gets her in the face with his sword or something, or just chokes her out, snaps her neck, maybe.
I guess you could consider Theon a Stark, a honorary Stark.
That's true.
Sort of. But by blood?
Well, he died as a Stark, right? I mean, he was raised
He
with
was
them.
not blood of their blood.
But they kept telling him at the end he was family.
Well, you know.
Sansa even hugged him. Bran looked at him coldly and said, "You're a good person." That's the best he could do.
You're a good person.
You're a good man, Theon. Anyway, so I thought that was a neat thing. And again, other people have written articles about this since then. But then after the finale...
I mean, both...
Oh, yes?
And if you consider the season as a whole kind of like Avengers and Game of Thrones, kind of the same thing. You think about the season as a whole, they also killed like the main baddie way early in both of them.
That's true. Thanos dying as early as he did was really a big surprise, I think, to all of us. As was maybe the Night King dying when he died. I was surprised. Yeah. Then I also heard from Lionheart after the series was ended, and he said, "Meh, I am disappointed with the show. Heard that HBO wanted 9 seasons, but D&D rushed it because they wanted to do the next Star Wars movies." And then he said, "I hope Disney cancels their contract." Now, what do you guys think about that? So that's...
Well, I've heard that a lot, but I don't think anyone's going to rush something because they want to get to the next project. What I think is you've had actors for 10 years and they want to get new projects.
But do they, though? I mean, those guys, Jon Snow himself Kit Harington was very sad that the show was ending.
Well, it's going to end no matter what, but I'm sure they want to do things. Arya has a new show coming out, or a new movie coming out where she's dying.
That's right.
Sansa has everything. I mean, she was an X-Men, and she has a new role that they say she might win an Oscar for.
Oh, I haven't heard about that.
Oh, she wants to do Boy George.
What?
Rockumentary.
That might be the one.
Biopic.
That may be the one she wins the Oscar for.
Yeah, maybe.
Wait a second. I hadn't heard about that one. Okay, so Sophie Turner
and Boy George look exactly alike.
They do have I'm seeing it already.
Structure.
Facial similarities, that's true. But to do this, she would actually have to spend the movie being someone who was born a man. Wow. that would be a hell of a thing.
I would go see it.
Can she sing?
I don't know.
I hope she can.
Probably.
And Mylan Reddick, whatever. Who was the guy who played
Rami Malek
in Queen? Yeah, can he sing?
Well,
yes.
Apparently, yes, he can. He did most of his own music.
Him.
That wasn't him. That was him.
He was no Johnny Cash. I mean, Joaquin Phoenix when he was Johnny Cash, because he was singing. He actually sung.
Well, anyone can be Johnny Cash. Here, look, I'll be Johnny Cash. Burn, 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 ring of fire. That's all you have to do to be Johnny Cash.
You sounded nothing like him.
Right,
yes, I did.
I think I could sound more like him than you.
Well, I'm sorry. I'll practice. I don't know the words. But I think Johnny Cash had nothing for vocal range. I mean, Freddie Mercury is a hard get.
That's why he needed June.
I don't know.
Yeah, Freddie Mercury is a harder than Johnny Cash. I can agree with that. But
well, I'm glad
I felt like his music was more lip singing, but
I don't think it was.
His role.
I'll have to look that up at some point. I don't have time to do that now, but I won't make everyone suffer through that. But
or
good for
Jamie
Sophie
Foxx in the Ray Charles one.
Ray.
That was good.
He was great.
That was a great movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, Sophie's got things to look forward to. So it's fine that the show ended, is what you all are saying.
I'm saying is it probably wasn't them rushing. They had actors who were on contracts, and they had a plan probably 3 years ago, and they just said, you know what, we're sticking to the plan.
I'm not going to wish direct harm on D&D, Weiss and Benioff. I mean, like Lionheart is. I'm not gonna wish them
Canceled
to get
contract.
fired from this awesome gig of writing new Star Wars. But I will say, if they fuck up Star Wars,
they're going to be in so much trouble.
it's kind of over. And Star Wars fans are not very forgiving as it is. But now you're going to have Star Wars fans and Game of Thrones fans, if they're not already the same people. But you're going to have that coming together and be like, this is their next big project. They better do amazing, because if they don't do something amazing, then it's just going to be...
They're going to lose their base.
Well, they're gonna lose a lot, because all the speculation is like, well, they were good at running a show and writing when they had George R. R. Martin's writing to back it up, and then the last couple seasons things kind of fell apart. So people say. Obviously, there's different opinions.
Good episodes. They've had good episodes. I mean, the Hard Home, that's all them. The Battle Bastards, all them. None of that stuff happened in the book.
Sure. I mean, I can't argue that. That's true.
The Field of Fire episode, that was all them. So, I mean, they've had good episodes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not saying they haven't had good episodes. I'm just saying Star Wars, kind of a big deal to a lot of us. So the pressure's on. I don't know when we're going to see
Star Wars fans are almost... Game of Thrones fans are almost as bad as Star Wars fans.
I think worse.
Star Wars fans can be rough.
Because Star Wars, it's been many, many, many years of disappointment for them. So they're like hardened a little bit. Game of Thrones is too fresh.
I don't know. The reactions to Solo.
I liked Solo.
I liked Solo too.
I liked Solo too.
But
it was an enjoyable movie.
Right. It was a side story. It was great.
It's just be that minority that's really loud on the internet, right?
Yes.
Well, that's what it is. It's always people who are loud on the internet.
Well, let's be louder.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think some of it has to do... this is going to sound, coming from me bad, but a lot of it has to do with Game of Thrones with sexism.
Really?
They didn't want Arya killing the Long Night. They wanted Jon doing it because Jon was the one.
Oh, with the angry fans. Yeah, well, probably.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel had the same thing going on, and probably will for years to come. Like, people hated her even before they saw the movie.
They wrote stories, and they were like doing fake reviews, and I mean, it's how dare you put a woman in this? Is kind of what it's like. Yeah. How dare you have someone other than Jon kill her? Why does it have to be Arya?
Yeah,
because she's Azor Ahai.
Because Arya's I say she was. I say she is Azor Ahai. I'm all for that. She's awesome. But it would have been nice to have some more stuff coming up. More fucking lore. Give me more lore. I'm hungry for lore. That's why we employ Kevin and pay him a modest salary.
What?
What?
I'm getting a salary?
Oh, well, we sent all the checks to your old address. I'm sorry.
Oh.
All right, back to the mailbag. We also heard from listener Dana, who, I can't say a few weeks ago because we haven't done an episode in probably a month, but a few episodes ago, she had written in And she wrote in again, and she said she was happier with the way it finished. She said she's happy the way Game of Thrones finished, kind of open-ended. She recommends rewatching season 1. She says all the storyline hints are there, and she's looking forward to seeing what Gurm takes or leaves behind in the future book editions. But then, I had to bring this up. She said, well, what are you guys going to do next? I have a recommendation. And she recommended a show called Resurrection Ertugrul. Isn't that something?
What?
What? What do you mean what? Oh, Kevin, you don't even listen.
What was that called?
Resurrection Vertical?
You are part of this show, and you have no idea what I'm talking about. Jennifer knows what I'm talking about.
No, I don't.
What?
What is it? Just tell me.
Oh, for God's sakes. We watched it.
You always make me guess.
But we watched it.
Of course we watched it, but I don't remember.
All right, fine. I guess we'll take a step back here. So maybe Dana forgot too. I assumed she was a newer listener and hadn't noticed that we talked about this once, but maybe everyone forgot. It's a show that Lionheart recommended a long time ago.
Are you talking about that one?
It's the Turkish Game of Thrones.
That's what I thought.
All right, now you're finally coming back.
Well, it just doesn't sound like that. I don't think I ever knew the title, honestly.
Resurrection Ertugrul. How can you forget that?
It's amazing.
What's amazing?
That show.
Well, we watched the first episode. It really was building up a lot of interesting stuff, and then I don't know. We didn't keep watching it, but now we have a second person recommending it too. So I do think that in this dark time when we don't have anything else to watch, we should probably check it out again. And
so Kevin, it's like Game of Thrones in Pakistan.
Turkey.
I thought he was saying Resurrection Vertical.
That's what I thought he said too.
Ertugrul.
Ertugrul. What does Ertugrul mean?
Well, that's also the name of Kevin's firstborn son, so I don't know why he sounds so confused. What does Ertugrul mean? It's a guy. It's a name.
Okay.
It's the dude. It's our hero.
His name is Ertugrul?
His name is Ertugrul. We didn't see him get resurrected, but maybe that's a plot point.
Maybe it's coming,
down
right?
The show. Yeah, totally.
Just like John?
It's more of a real world historical kind of show than straight up fantasy, but it's got
interesting.
It sets up, at least in the first episode, a lot of the elements that we came to know and love in Game of Thrones, from the lots of political machinations going on in the background between like Christians and Muslims and stuff, and then also some intense violence. So
good stuff.
Yeah, I think it'll be, and betrayals. We already saw a couple betrayals in the first episode too. I know, right? We were gasping. So it's a good show, Kevin. You should check it out too. It's on Netflix. Just saying, putting that out there.
Yeah, the quality is just as good as Game of Thrones so far.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I found really weird about it was that I wish, and this is maybe a weird complaint when you're making TV in Turkey, but I wish they would have hired more Caucasians to be the Christian army, because they're the invading forces.
Those bad. I won't say that.
It was, because they were acting like idiot Europeans, but they didn't really look European except for like one dude that had curly blonde hair.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the only thing that I would say so far. But hey, what are you going to do? You'd have to teach all those white guys to speak Turkish.
Maybe that's what they looked like back then.
In Europe? Probably
I don't know.
All right. Yeah. So anyway, then finally there was one more mailbag from Lionheart. Again, I want to come full circle because of the Resurrection Ertugrul thing. But he was, talking about his feelings again. I mean, he's got some bitterness. He's got some bitterness and anger, but he's ready to move on. And he loved things as they came, but he just didn't really like how it ended. But then his big question was, he said, let me know what you have planned in terms of future shows or topics in the wrap-up episode of Pod of Thrones. Well, we're not wrapping up Pod of Thrones, people. So I just want to clear that up. Pod of Thrones lives on. It's resurrected like an Ertugrul.
We just have to find some stuff to talk about between now and when the next prequel comes up.
Right. And maybe that'll be Ertugrul. But I really love what HBO's doing. So I think I said this already, but we've got good stuff on the slate for HBO. And I think HBO's been good to us.
We're watching Penny Dreadful now.
HBO back. Penny Dreadful was a Showtime show.
Oh, sorry.
But it's on Netflix. So we haven't subscribed to Showtime. HBO, if you're listening, and I'm sure you are, we did not give Showtime our money. It's just that Penny Dreadful's on Netflix.
You can always do a rewatch with hindsight of the ending
Mm-hmm.
to kind of look for some stuff.
Well, yeah,
Definitely
I want to do some of
do
those.
that.
We did the one commentary track a while back, right before season 8 began. I'd like to do a few more of those. Those would be fun. Some of our favorite episodes or most like plot crucial episodes, maybe.
Yeah.
And
We could point out stuff in the episodes as, we could, do something like that.
totally.
Like point out some of the foreshadowing, point out some of the stuff that, you might have missed on your first watch through that makes it more enjoyable. Let's point out some of the stuff that was just basically just throwing it out there for book readers.
Right.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. But then also some of those other HBO shows, Watchmen and His Dark Materials, look like they're going to be pretty intense. So I think we should cover those. And Westworld will
On
come
Pot
back
of
around again
Thrones?
someday. Sure.
All right.
Because they're HBO and we've done
Okay,
Westworld.
so maybe
Why
we
not?
should rename our pod of HBO.
HBO of Thrones. Maybe we should. We'll think about it. But Pod of Thrones lives on because there will be more Game of Thrones. And also, like the next big thing, and you're going on a little trip, babe, so I don't know how many episodes we'll do between now and then, but we have Comic-Con coming up. So we'll be back at San Diego Comic-Con trying to figure out what's
How
going
to get
on
through the
there.
crowds.
How to get through the crowds. It sounds like HBO is going to do something. Like they weren't there at Comic-Con at all last year.
Right.
But I think there's going to be a Game of Thrones goodbye panel, and maybe they'll do some other panels too. But we'll definitely be there.
I'm going to have to think of a question that we need to ask somebody
that'd
or
be so
everybody.
great. If you could get in a question, that'd be awesome. You're going to have
Right.
to kick like
I
a
know.
couple people to the curb.
I'm not mean enough.
At the Hall H panels, you get the same people asking questions for every single panel because they sit in the right place and they hop up first. And apparently they're fans of literally everything. So
And
that's
it's always a little kid,
yeah, there's that one little
every-
kid with the buck teeth that wears the funny hats. And
Right.
then there's the button lady. And I don't know. They just annoy
people
me.
just sit down and give everybody their turn.
That's right. That's what we're trying to say. Anyway, so Comic-Con's coming up. So we're going to have fun there. We'll be reporting both here on the podcast and probably some stuff on podofthrones.com. Follow us on Twitter as well because we tweet things. You had a picture go viral last year, babe.
I did.
Just one random photograph. You wouldn't think it would be a thing, but it was.
No, it was the Grandmaster and Tinkerbell.
Yeah. Grandmaster from Marvel and Tinkerbell from, well, also Marvel Disney.
Yeah.
You know, they're kind of related now.
That guy's costume was really good. He was
Yeah.
phenomenal.
You look just like Jeff Goldblum.
He did.
So yeah, we'll be tweeting out pictures and things there. Yes. Yes, Kevin?
I can give some advice.
Okay.
Not really advice, but give some people some recommendations.
Please.
If you are, I'm not really sure when this show would come out. Probably even it's next time that the prequels of Game of Thrones is coming out. But Wheel of Time on Amazon. That looks like that's going to be good. Witcher on Netflix.
That show. I don't know. Remember the Witcher video games, babe? We started playing them and we're like, we cannot have our kids in the room when this game's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Yes.
Witcher on Netflix is going to be something that could fill that void for some people. And if you're looking for a book series to read, since you're waiting for Game of Thrones, I've been reading Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson.
Always
It
heard good
starts
things.
with the book called The Way of the King.
Mm-hmm.
That book I couldn't put down after I started reading it. And the second one, which is The Word of Radiance, I would blew through that one too. So
Good to know.
So those type of things, if you have a little bit of a longing, I feel like reading the books is like the spiritual successor to Game of Thrones. It's not the same as Game of Thrones, but it kind of has that same type of feel when you're reading it with the world. So
Okay.
All right.
it's just much
good
different.
recommendations. And of course,
So those
Resurrection
things coming
Urtegirl.
out.
What?
Resurrection Urtegirl too. So we got books.
Oh, yeah.
We got Amazon. They're going to do the Lord of the Rings series too. I don't know when that's coming out.
And also, I have my own podcast coming soon.
What?
And that's right. Loremaster Kevin has a podcast coming soon. So we're
What's it
going to need
called?
to
What's
do
it
some
called?
kind of.
It's going to be like real life lore, basically. My daughter is really into history.
Mm-hmm.
And she loves reading the Who Was books, which takes famous people and kind of put it down at their level. So I went looking for a podcast for her, and I've really found a good one. I found one called Bedtime History, which only is like 7 minutes long. But her and I are going to take some of her favorite people in history, like, Marie Curie, Martin Luther King, Seabiscuit, which is her favorite for some reason, Walt Disney, and kind of make a podcast out of it that's accessible for kids.
Awesome.
Do a little history. Yeah. So
what age group?
It's going to be from like her age, like first grade up to fifth grade, sixth grade type stuff.
Cool. We'll test
Just
it out
to
on our
help
kids.
Help kids get into history.
Mm-hmm.
Well, can I?
She really into it.
Because this is not currently a kids show. We don't expect that we have many underage listeners. No. I got to ask you right off the bat. I'm just going to ask the hard question. I want your show to be awesome either way, but when you say you're going to cover someone like Walt Disney, are you going to cover the happy, kid-friendly version of Walt Disney exclusively, or will you throw in some of the anti-Semitism and Nazi support?
No, we'll cover. What we'll do is we'll the beginning of it will be kind of like a quick rundown of his life, and then we're going to talk about his impact. And this is what we do for all the people: what their impact is now in today's world, to kind of make it accessible to why history is important.
So probably no Nazi stuff.
No, we won't. we won't be doing because it would be hard to. I mean, everyone understand, like you and I understand that there's good and bad in every person, but I don't think kids understood that. It's a high concept for them.
Yeah.
All right, fine. I'm just saying that would be awesome. It would be awesome to hear a kid coming to the realizations. But if you want to do it your way, you go ahead. Well, I'm looking forward to that.
So her and I are working on ideas right now, and when I do, I'll let you guys know.
Please. Yeah, and we'll plug it on the show. Maybe we can play some clips.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
She's excited about it because she really enjoys historical figures.
And someday...
So she's getting into lore of the real world.
Yeah, someday you can share Game of Thrones with her, but not yet.
No.
Never. It's always uncomfortable.
And I asked Jeff to come be on, and he said, "I don't know if I can, without cussing." I'm like, "Come on."
What? Did I say that?
You haven't cussed once
this. I didn't say that. I can be without. I just have to think of a real world historical figure more than anything. I'm so engrossed in comic books and fucking Game of Thrones now. My brain is like.
Oh,
Swiss
you did
cheese.
just cuss.
There you go. He cussed. He just cussed.
Well, we're not on your show. I'm a professional, damn it. I can go without cussing for half an hour.
We gotta get you too, Jennifer, so we can have a woman talking as well.
Okay. Sounds fun.
It's important for kids to hear that stuff.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Her story, not just his story.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
That's right. That's what we're talking about.
Our story, it should be called.
All right.
That sounds good.
I think we touched on everything we want to talk about.
Okay. Well, we will look forward to that. And again, just stay tuned. I mean, it sounds like, I hope Lionheart hears this episode. It sounded like he was on the verge of clicking unsubscribe. Please don't do that. We are not done. We're still going to be talking about stuff and eventually Game of Thrones as soon as something happens. So stay with us. All right, people? Agreed? Everyone agree?
Agreed.
All right, we got to go because the cat is trying to destroy the recording setup. So I guess she knew that it was time.
All right.
She knows it's time for dinner.
She knows it's time for dinner, and it is for us too. Kevin, thank you for your time, as always. I'm sure we will talk soon. Good luck out there in that cold, big world.
Thanks.
Valor Magudis.
Bye, guys.
Fala do Harris.